USA kick off their tournament, one of the major hosts of this competition, in style. In Hollywood, they put on a show in front of multiple stars that were in attendance, 4-1 winners on the night against Paraguay, and the USA set themselves perfectly up for a brilliant World Cup ahead. If you guys are new members of the channel, welcome. If you're returning members, welcome back. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I cannot do it without your help. So if you enjoy the content and you like what you're seeing, subscribe. It's free. I was very impressed by the United States today, man. I won't say coming into this game, I believe the USA would lose to Paraguay. As I mentioned in my predictions video, firstly, I was very surprised to see that Julio Enciso was back in the squad. The injury that he suffered prior to the World Cup beginning looked like an injury that will probably keep him out for a majority of the games that Paraguay would play. But he was back and fit and starting today. And I looked at the Paraguay lineup and it looked like a team that could do something tonight, as well as the fact that they'd done well in South American qualifiers. I thought Paraguay would be able to cause USA a bit of problems today. I thought Paraguay would be able to create a bit of tension within the stadium in Los Angeles today. But that was not the case whatsoever. The USA completely controlled the game from start to finish. The early moments of the game, they were physical, they were dynamic, they were causing problems for that Paraguay team. Paraguay could not even play out of their own half for majority of the game. They were hoofing the ball up to Antonio Sanabria, a name that I haven't heard in a long time since Real Betis. He couldn't make anything stick. Julio Enciso was playing in a number 10 position. He couldn't do anything likewise. Diego Gomez, Miguel Almiron, they were trying to be those outlets on the wide areas of the field. They couldn't really do anything either. And there were so many moments that the attack of the United States made that defensive Paraguay look completely lost. I thought two players, in my opinion, today who were absolutely brilliant, Weston McKennie as well as Tyler Adams. Add Malik Tillman to that. That midfield three were incredible today. They offered so much to the USA today in terms of the physicality, in terms of winning the ball back, in terms of ball retention. I thought the USA, they looked comfortable today. They looked like a team who were professional. That was the sort of performance you see from the big nations in these sort of tournaments. You come in, you dominate, you keep the ball, you increase the pressure, you play it at a certain intensity. And the minute you get to a 2-0, a 3-0, you control the game, you settle it down. You allow the opposition to tire themselves out. And in the moment you feel like they're starting to go back into it, as you probably did in that second half with Paraguay, you kill the game off with the fourth goal from Gio Reyna. And as I said, it was a very, very, very professional performance. All the players in that United States team today were quality for me. Anthony Robinson, you know the level he shows at Fulham. He was great today. Alex Freeman, he was probably the only player, him and Freese in goal, were probably the only players in this American team that I'm not really too familiar with. Alexander Freeman actually plays for Villarreal, yet I've never really heard the name. And he was solid tonight. Up against Enciso, up against Almiron. He looked comfortable. He genuinely looked comfortable. As I mentioned, the midfield was quality. Serginho Dest was offering that width on the right-hand side. Weston McKennie was constantly making those runs down that right-hand channel in between the fullback and the center back, constantly creating chaos in behind. Serginho Dest, you know what you're going to get from him. He's not the best in terms of end product, but he's always going to run. He's always going to be an outlet. Christian Pulisic was the same on the other side, gets the assist. And as I said, it was quality. I thought Folarin Balogun up top was quality. Against those defenders, Alderete is a very difficult defender to contend with, but he held the ball up. He brought his teammates into the game, and he scores two brilliant, brilliant goals. The first one, assisted by Christian Pulisic, is played into the box. He just uses the momentum of the ball and guides it into the other corner. And the second goal is even better. Malik Tillman finds him perfectly in behind. He gets a bit of luck, but he shows his physicality, holds the defender off, comes inside, and in his weaker foot, top corner. I was watching it at a watch-along at a bar, and the place went crazy when he scored that goal. And when you're watching the first half and it comes to the end, and the USA are 3-0 up, I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Fair enough. Fair enough. And I think a performance you saw today is the type of performance that it invokes excitement within the country. I said it before, the United States don't have pressure to do, how do I even phrase this? I don't believe the United States have pressure to win the tournament, but I think the United States have huge pressure to encourage the fans to get behind this sport. We all know football is not the biggest sport in the United States. Basketball, American football, hockey even, baseball, all of these sports probably rank higher in the general enjoyment of the US population. But I always say, a World Cup can change that entire narrative. If the USA come into this tournament and excite the fans, allow them to dream, Christian Pulisic, the LeBron James of soccer as they call him, if he comes into this tournament, the Malik Tillmans, the Weston McKennies, the Tyler Adams, these are players who play their trade all around Europe. If these players can somehow foster an atmosphere, along with Mauricio Pochettino, you have to give him credit today. I know it's only Paraguay, but I was surprised by that performance from the US today. As I said, I didn't think Paraguay would beat them or Paraguay would make things impossible for them and probably even nick a result. I just thought it would be difficult. I thought maybe it would be an edgy 2-1, a 2-0, where it looks like the pressure is getting to the US, but today they look comfortable. And you have to give credit to Mauricio Pochettino for that. But as I was mentioning, I think the US playing well in this tournament, the US getting far in this tournament, the US having big moments in this tournament can foster the next generation of football players in this country. You might see it as an over-exaggeration, but that is genuinely how football works. When you have these moments, when you have these players that encapsulate the population, who are the players do you think that are going to be worn by the younger generation? Which players do you think they'll talk about in 5 to 10 years? Which players do you think will be their idols when they go on to join academies and play football in their schools, their universities? It's the players they watch week in, week out. It's the players they watch when they decide to tune in. And whether you like it or not, the World Cup is the moment that they tune in. So you're hearing Christian Pulisic talking about there's no pressure. I think there is pressure for you guys to excite the fans. I think there is pressure for you guys to incentivize the fans to tap into this. Because if the US genuinely tap into football, they could be one of the powerhouses of the sport. They genuinely could be. The resources, the finances, the ability, the sheer population of people within the country, they could be one of the powerhouses. So there's huge, huge pressure on them. But as I said again, this is how you start a tournament. This is how a host nation should come out. Dominant, emphatic, controlling the game. Being intense from minute 1 to minute 45. And from then, you allow Paraguay to play. You allow them to do their things here and there. But you know the game's won. And the minute they start to show you a bit of chaos, they start to give you an idea that they may be coming back into the game, Gio Reyna comes off the bench. Gio Reyna, top 5 league player. I've been at Borussia Dortmund for many, many years. Of course, struggled with injuries, but still a top player. Comes off the bench for Malik Tillman, who had a great game and scores a lovely Trivela into the bottom hand corner. And it's moments like that I'm talking about. There will be 8, 9, 10-year-olds that will remember that goal for many, many years to come. When Giovanni Reyna scored that Trivela goal in Los Angeles against Paraguay, where were you? This is how the next generation is inspired. So huge congratulations to the US. Huge congratulations to Mauricio Pochettino. Paraguay, I was very, very disappointed with the performance today. Pragmatic. Maybe I overestimated how good this team is. Maybe I did. I thought in the second half they started to show good elements and elements of the team that I saw in qualifiers. But I think the US just showed you that they're cut from a completely different cloth, and they were able to separate themselves from Paraguay wholeheartedly in this game. Quick one on Canada versus Bosnia. I was only able to catch about 60 minutes of the game. I watched the first half and I watched a little bit of the second half. Had to step out to go and do something after that, so I couldn't watch the end of the game. I saw the goal scored by Kyle Lauren, a little bit of shimmies, a little bit of jagged play, and he scores brilliantly into the bottom corner. I thought for the most part, the game went exactly as I was expect. We talked about it on the channel. Bosnia are going to be a very compact, difficult side to break down, and they're going to look to take advantage when they go up the field. And Canada were giving them so much space to run into going the other way. Set pieces were going to be a way that Bosnia would try and attack. And it's going to be interesting to see how set pieces are used throughout this tournament. We saw it with Bosnia. We've seen it now with Czechia. Teams definitely put an onus on set pieces. We saw it in the Premier League this season. The Premier League champions are one of the best set piece teams we've seen in the sports, if anything. So I think set pieces are going to play a huge role in this tournament. Lukic scoring the goal that actually put them 1-0 up. He was a battering ram in this game. Constantly was bringing the ball down, constantly causing chaos for the opposition defense. And Bosnia, you knew how they were going to get into this game. There were so many moments where it felt as though Canada were going to score. There was the clearance off the line by Sead Kolasinac. There were big chances for both sides. But at the end, it ends in a draw after Kyle Lauren equalizes from that Lukic goal. I didn't see the entire game, as I said. I didn't really catch the final 30 minutes. But from the first 60 minutes that I watched, I thought Ismail, I think it was Ismail, I want to get his name right. Yesterday, I didn't mention the names of the South Korea players. From now on, I will mention everyone's name that I think deserves plaudits. It was Ismail Kone, particularly in the first half. Second half, maybe he kind of died down a little, but particularly in the first half, I thought he was brilliant. Carried the ball excellently, came out of defense brilliantly, drove through the midfield, found passes when he needed to. There were moments where his touch kind of evaded him. He kind of rushed things a little bit too much, kind of got a bit too excited, and perhaps the touch he'd take would get out of hand and somebody would be there to intercept the ball. But I thought he was neat and tidy. I thought he was efficient. I thought he was a real battering ram in that midfield. Baraktarovic, a huge player that we talked about, young player coming up for Bosnia that I was excited to watch. Didn't really have his best game. Didn't really get the ball as much as he would have liked. But for the most part, game was pretty even. Ended how most people would have expected it. I thought Canada would have a little bit more quality at the end. And probably based on the chances that they created, you would think they should have maybe gotten the win in the end. But I think all things considered, it was the right result. As I said, if there were some things that I missed, I didn't watch the final 20, 30 minutes of the game because I had to step out. And guys, it is currently 1 a.m. I got back late from the watch along, so I'm not watching the rest of this Canada-Bosnia game. Of course, let me know you guys' thoughts down in the comment section. You've heard mine. What did you think about the US's opening to the World Cup? What did you make of Canada's draw with Bosnia? And tomorrow, we have more football on the agenda. Brazil versus Morocco, which is going to be absolutely incredible. Qatar versus Switzerland. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to catch that game. And Haiti versus Scotland. I also don't know if I'll be able to catch that game. But whichever game I catch, I will be here with you guys tomorrow once again to discuss the biggest sporting event on the planet. As I said, let me know all that and a whole lot more down in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. I can't do it without your help. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, take care of yourselves.